In this video we're going to model the night piece for the chess set. So I'm just going to drag this image right in my viewport so I have it to reference. Resize my window. So what I want to do with this piece is make it as simple as possible. And again, we're probably going to ignore the bottom half. We've already done that with all the other pieces. So let's just throw kind of a mock piece down here for these bottom pieces. Make this, say, 16 sides around, something like that. So now this is at world center. So again, if I turn the wireframe off, I know that I'm sitting at world center. Usually want to model stuff at world center, so I'm just going to move this image to kind of coincide with that. Let's put him right on the ground. So this guy, we'll just pretend like all this fancy stuff's already made, because we already know how to do that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make this horse as a separate piece of geometry that's just going to sit on top of this base right here, which we're going to pretend is this guy. So again, it's just going to be a separate piece. So making this, I want to make it as easy as I possibly can. So let's just start with a box. And what I'm going to do is let's actually throw transparent material on here so we can see the image behind. There we go. So let's start kind of lining this up. So if I look at this, I can say that this is my initial box right here, and then I can cut the box in half and then extrude out the snout, and then up here I could cut the box going this way and this way to extrude the ear going up, and then all these little rounded areas I can just bevel those when they're in box form. So to do this, I'm going to middle mouse click and lasso select. The reason I'm doing this middle mouse clicking is so I get the vertex that's behind. Let's grab him, move him into place, and just quickly rough this out real quick. And again, this is going to look a little messy right here at first. So the first thing I said was I was going to cut it in half this way. So I'm just doing a loop slice, manipulating this edge where I need it. Now I'm going to grab this polygon face. Again, polygons are selected, middle mouse click. So we're getting this front face. Extrude, pull that out. Now I'm just going to switch to vertex mode, and again middle mouse click to line these up. This piece now I'm going to move over here. So again, right now from the side, this is rudimentary looking like the horse that we have going on, or the knight piece. So let's do a loop slice with a count of 2. We'll move these here. Middle mouse click this polygon, pull it up, and kind of work these into place. So now we've kind of established what our horse kind of looks like from the side. Let's grab this piece. So there's a handful of polygons here, and I'm just extruding these and pulling them down. So I want this to be perfectly vertical. I'm sorry, perfectly horizontal. So I'm just going to switch to the scale tool and scale it all the way down until it says 0%. And the scale tool, how that works is it was pulling the lower verts kind of up and the higher verts down. So if you scale it all the way down to 0, it'll just make a flat line. So now we can kind of scale this guy roughly into place. Let's just put him right there. So from the side, this is looking okay, but let's go ahead and look at it from a 3/4 view. So again, at this point, we're going to have it wider at the bottom so it accounts for this base, but we don't want our horse to just have a really wide face. So let's go ahead and just grab the horse's head and just scale this in. So I'm just grabbing the blue axis, something like that. So this is starting to feel pretty good. Now let's just hide this piece. Actually, I'm going to cut and paste it into a new mesh. So again, we have a mesh here and a mesh here. So now it's just a black wireframe, so that's the inactive mesh. So if I look at this, let's just hide these, double click this edge. We have a total of 10 edges here. So I don't want these to bunch around the sides right here. Let's try to manipulate these so this is more of a rounded shape instead of a square. So we'll grab the front and the back one, scale it in, something like that. This one, those two can just naturally stay like that. And then we'll take these two and just scale them in a little bit. So now at this point I'm just kind of eyeballing this and making it kind of how I'd like it. Let's go back to that view so we can see the side of this. So from here, to get these guys rounded, I'm going to go ahead and bevel them. So it's going to round them out a little bit, but I can't do these all at the same time. So let's just do them one at a time. So B to bevel, roundness level, set that to 2. And about right there, it's looking good. So I'm going to view this from all angles to make sure that we're looking good. Let's repurpose this one. So to get this bevel to work out right, what I'm doing is I'm not just arbitrarily putting this here. I'm making it to where this overall edge kind of fits in line with the straight, so right here, and then this edge right here fits with this straight. So that usually means I'm going to have to, I can't put it right here, I have to start pulling it out diagonally away from this, and then when I bevel it, so B to bevel, grab the blue one, it'll naturally just hit that curve perfectly. So let's do the same thing with this one. This one's a little bit lower, so it's not going to work out as well, but it should still be fine. So not really liking that, so let's pull it down a little bit more. And bevel somewhere around there. And if I want, I can go in and manually adjust this a little bit, just rotate it a little, move it up, do whatever. But again, this doesn't need to be perfect, so we'll just call that good. Bevel this guy, do the same thing. And again, this bevel, I want to make sure that this edge and this edge are kind of my endpoints of the bevel. I don't want those to go all the way down and match up right here. So like right here, now they're kind of, it stops sliding because it's hitting another vertex. We never want our bevel to be pulled out so far that it hits another thing. If that was the case and we needed it to go further, what we do is just undo that, slide this edge down, and then we would bevel it so it could go down further. So about right there should be good. And again, I'm just going to space these just a little bit differently. We'll do the same thing, round out his nose a little bit, something like that. Technically, if we wanted to, we could even bevel this shape. Actually, let's do that same process. We'll pull this in a little bit. Now bevel it. Oops. I don't want to bevel. I had the vertices selected. I actually want to bevel the edges. So we'll just undo this so it's back to where it was. So grab that edge. If I need to change my view to make sure the edge is selected, I can do that. Bevel something like that if we wanted to. Again, not super needed. So I'm just going to actually bevel this guy. So now let's look at this in a 3D viewport so we can kind of look at this as a whole. So again, I actually want his, oops, look at the front of it, his head to be a little bit more narrow at the brow. So let's grab these polygons, scale them in, do the same thing with his ears. Let's actually go all the way to there. And saying sometimes it's better to actually do your scaling like this before you do the bevel. That's honestly how it probably should have been done. But again, I can just really quickly grab these and compensate and get a pretty nice curve going. So as far as the eyes and all that really fine detail goes, I'm not going to really worry about it. Oops, got a little bit of a display error. So again, this single polygon right here, it's actually what's referred to as an n-gon. So it's not really displaying all that well. So if this ever happens, you can select that polygon. I just lasso selected to grab it. And you can hit the F key, and what that does is flip the polygon so it's facing the other way. So make sure the other side's good. There we go. So something like this, and again, if I want to make his muzzle a little bit more narrow, I can scale that in as well. So something like that, and we'll call that good. And again, any of these polygons that are doing this, you can just hit that F key and it'll flip them back if that ever happens. because again, something like this is going to be one of those n-gons, and ideally we'd want to triangulate this in some way manually, but we'll worry about that later. So let's go ahead and make this front portion a little bit more narrow as well. There we go, something like this. And again, if we wanted to put the ears in here, what we could do would be select a few edges. I'll actually just put one in here, and now I can grab this edge here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I probably beveled this a little bit too soon, so I'm just going to kind of pseudo unbevel that. So let's just remove those edges. Do the same thing over here. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is just grab this edge and pull it down, so we have kind of two little ears going. This vertex I actually don't want to be down really far, something like that. There we go. Now these are coming down. And now if I want, I could bevel this out. If I wanted to round it out, you can see how that from the side is rounding. Doesn't really matter. But again, something like that, and then this pedestal if you had it with the insets in it and whatnot. Something like this is going to be fine for this piece. Again, we don't need it to be perfect at all. It just needs to, let's go ahead and turn transparent amount back to 0. It just needs to have the silhouette and kind of read like a chess piece of a knight. And as soon as we zoom out, this reads pretty good silhouette wise. The other thing we could do if we wanted to would be I could technically grab another edge loop, send it all the way up, and then down here, just focusing on this, could kind of scale this out, make it a little bit more round, which would in turn let me scale this guy out. And again, this is gonna make this overall shape more round. And same thing here, I could now grab this vertex and this vertex, scale them out, and then potentially add an edge loop or two going through here. And then from here I can mess with this, kind of bubble it out, pull it in, pull it down, do whatever I want with it. But again, overall, this is going to be good enough for our knight piece at this point.